From the OU TV Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, California, this is Brief News Brief, a brief look at today's trending news topics. Proudly combating the thought police since 2016, here's your host, James Heaney.
I'm James Heaney, and this is your Brief News Briefing. Pray for Donald Trump. Today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that President Trump's wrongdoings strike at the heart of the Constitution. She formally asked the House committee chairs to proceed with articles of impeachment, saying lawmakers have no choice but to act. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy appeared shortly after her statements, accusing Pelosi of weakening this nation with her decision to move forward with articles of impeachment against Trump. Meanwhile, Rudy Giuliani is in the Ukraine. What? Yeah. President Trump's personal lawmaker has been in Budapest and Kiev this week to talk with former Ukrainian prosecutors for a documentary series intended to debunk the impeachment case. These guys can't stop, won't stop. Giuliani is shooting propaganda for his pro-Trump anti-impeachment narrative. The man is in production. They are backed up against the wall, and there is nowhere to go but deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. Somebody's got to give the president's supporters new material to undercut the House impeachment proceedings and eventual Senate trial, because they got nothing. Mr. Giuliani's trip has generated concern in some quarters of the State Department. The American people should also share the concern that this man is off running a propaganda machine to try and muddy the waters and delusion people with North Korea-like propaganda materials. This, of course, comes on the heels of the revelations from the House Intelligence Committee on Tuesday of frequent calls from Mr. Giuliani to the White House and other figures in the pressure campaign at key moments this year. What a mess! How far has Giuliani fallen? How much deeper into the darkness can he go? Hello, darkness, Rudy's friend. America's about to get hungry. Yesterday, the Trump administration said that it will make it harder for states to keep residents in the U.S. food stamp program. This move is projected to end benefits for nearly 700,000 people. President Donald Trump has argued that many Americans receiving food stamps through SNAP do not need it given the strong economy and how low unemployment is. The program provides food benefits for 36 million Americans. The administration has now finalized a rule that tightens guidelines on when and where states can waive limits on how long certain residents can receive benefits. The aim is to move more and more able-bodied adults into the workplace, according to the U.S. Agricultural Secretary Sonny Perdue. But there's really no evidence that hungry people are more likely to get a job. How pompous for a man who was born rich and has been playing gambler-in-chief with the economy can make such a sweeping generalization that people will just find a way to eat otherwise. The United States generally limits the amount of time that adults 18 to 49 who do not have independence or disabilities can receive food stamps to 3 months in a 36-month period, unless they meet certain work requirements. The administration has sought to tighten requirements for food stamps without congressional approval after Congress blocked a Trump-backed effort to pass new restrictions through the Farm Bill last year. The latest rule will take effect next year and save the U.S. government about $5.5 billion over 5 years by removing about 688,000 people from food stamps. Sure, that might sound like a lot of savings, but crunching the numbers, it turns out $1,500 a year in benefits. It's the equivalent of a tax deduction. It's a basic stimulus package. All those billionaires not paying taxes and poor people paying taxes, and they can't eat to save the rich people a couple of bucks. $1,500 is literally pennies to wealthy people. The poor people who can't take it, it can be a life-sustaining difference. This policy is more likely to put people on the streets. No one is scamming the government for $1,500 a year in food stamp benefits. They're already heavily restricted and regulated. What a joke. The U.S. Justice Department and Treasury Departments took action today against a Russian hacking group known as Evil Corp. Evil Corp stole at least $100 million from banks using malicious software that swiped banking credentials. $100 million! What is this? The Russian equivalent of Dr. Evil from Austin Powers stealing $100 million. Evil Corp is run by a group of individuals based in Moscow, Russia. Or perhaps maybe it's just a guy in a basement living with his mom. I don't know. The world's weird, isn't it? They used a type of malware known as Drydex, which worked to evade common antivirus software and spread through emailed phishing campaigns. Once infected, the malware was able to steal login credentials and empty the accounts of bank employees and bank customers. Where did the money go? Well, offshore shell companies, of course. Don't you know, silly Billy? And this isn't the first time this group did this. The group also stole an estimated $70 million using a similar malware known as Zeus. The federal agencies say that Evil Corp's criminal proceeds likely are significantly higher than the estimated $100 million stolen, making the enterprise one of the biggest hacking groups ever. The Justice Department announced indictments against key ringleaders of the group. The Treasury Department announced sanctions against Evil Corp, which I didn't even know you could do sanctions against a corporation, but I'm not a sanctions maker. I've never done that before. Under the department's Office of Foreign Assets Control, or OFAC, the sanctions are part of a multi-year effort with key NATO allies, including the United Kingdom. But where does the Russian government stand on all of this? Well, they have persistently used known criminals in state-sponsored activity. So is this the work of a strictly criminal enterprise, or is this just the work of Russian President Vladimir Putin's government itself? Unfortunately, the U.S. government rarely successfully extradites alleged criminals, and these guys are all still in Russia.